From the Middle is a founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network, and we're proud of it.
Oh, for the love.
Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it?
You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 80 of From the Middle. I'm Corey. I'm along with my brother Dylan and good friend Kendall. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view that's somewhere in the middle, talking about a whole variety of topics ranging from dad stuff, husband stuff, geek stuff, music stuff, cool stuff, neat stuff. If you've seen the Garth Brooks Instagram, you know what that's about.
You did that on an earlier podcast.
I know.
And I just now realized that it was a thing. I thought you were just being Corey.
No, maybe it was when he first joined Facebook. He was like, somebody told me about this Facebook thing, and I was a little skeptical. But then they told me it's just about a conversation, and I like that. It was real creepy.
I'm going to do a little visual joke for the
Okay.
YouTubers out there. I'm going to do my impression of a boomer on a Zoom call for the first time on Thanksgiving. Are you ready?
Ready?
All right.
Let's do
You
this.
guys have to look away for 2 seconds and then look back. Okay? Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? I can't see anyone.
Dad,
I can't see.
Dad.
I can hear, honey, I can hear Corey.
Tilt your screen back. Tilt your screen back a little bit.
Tilt it. Okay, hold on.
Tilt it backwards. Yep. No, that's sideways, Dad. Dad, get Mom in the room. There you go.
Mom.
Keep going. Do you see how you see more of yourself?
Oh, there I am. Okay.
No, that's not your face.
There we go.
Nope,
All right.
that's a microphone.
I can see
Dad.
you.
Dad, keep going backwards. Keep going
I can
backwards.
see you
Dad.
just fine.
Push the screen. Push the top of the screen away from you. There you go. Oh, yeah, a little more. Good job. We can see you now.
Okay. All right.
I swear that's not how the kid at Best Buy showed me how to do it.
I'm recording at home. I just got yelled at for being too loud.
It is past the kiddos' bedtime.
It's
Speaking
past
of our
everyone's
YouTube page, I know if you enjoy only listening to us and not seeing our faces, we completely understand. But if you do like the video content, we've gone through and reorganized and cleaned up our YouTube page. So we've got different playlists, a playlist for every episode where we've had a guest. We've got featured podcasts, other podcasts that are a part of the network. So if you haven't been out there in a while, go to our YouTube page. That's at From the Mid Pod, and you can see how we've cleaned that up and have some fun perusing our page.
Indeed. Or if you want to hang out with us on Apple and not have to look at our silly faces.
I get it. I completely
certainly understand. I was at the gas station today, and the cashier tried to shortchange me, and I told her, I'm not as dumb as I look, and she said, "How could you?" Anyway,
what would we do without you?
I have no idea.
Speaking of wanting to look at our faces in different ways, we have stickers. If you didn't know that, you can check out our stickers. We're going to post it in the link to this episode and all our social channels at some point, and they are 50% off through the end of the year. So if that interests you, certainly do that. And one final thing for anyone trying to give gifts that aren't stickers, head over to artiusman.com, ARTIUSman.com. If you need a gift, promo code the middle, 25%, crazy savings, huge savings. With your first order, it's going to be great. So make sure to head over to Artius.
I mean, by the way, if there's a fighting chance. There's no guarantees, but there's a chance that they'll even throw a sticker in the box. So it's happened to me a couple times. I got a sticker.
Yep,
got a free sticker. Not one of our stickers, one of their stickers.
One of their
Artius
stickers.
Man stickers.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, one of those companies that
We had one of the co-owners, Jeff, on our podcast, episode number 63. And unfortunately, that was the first and only episode I've ever missed, but you guys did a great job interviewing him. He's got to be excited as a big Columbus Crew fan because the Columbus Crew
Very exciting.
Indeed.
champs,
Yeah.
MLS champs,
baby.
Here we are.
It was played right here in Columbus, and boy, it was like, I don't know a whole lot about soccer. I don't watch a ton of it. I watched that game, and it looked like, I don't know, to me, being a novice, watching that game play out, watching a 3-0 game, 3-0 game. I'm sorry. It seemed to me that was a relatively dominant performance from the Crew. I don't know if that's true because I don't know what I'm watching, but it looked pretty well in hand. What's funny is, and I didn't know this, well, I knew how many soccer fans I had among my friends, but there were like in the time of COVID with stands that are relatively empty, not very many people are allowed to go and watch the game. I know 4 people who were at that game. So anyway,
That's cool. They beat
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Seattle Supersonics of the Pac-12.
The Seattle
Conference.
Supersonics. Yep.
The Pac-12 conference. So congratulations to the Columbus Crew. Maybe we should have Jeff back at the start of MLS season next year. We'll have a new stadium. He can kind of reflect back on the championship, the end of the old stadium, the beginning of the new stadium. That might be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Artius Mann Stadium.
Yes.
That's right.
So Jeff, I know you're listening. So Jeff, go ahead and put it in your calendar the week before next season. That's very exciting.
Congratulations, Crew fans. We thought we were going to lose the team entirely. We thought they were going to go to Texas, and here we are. What is it, a year later or 2 years later? They win the MLS championship. So
3. Doesn't matter. Still a cool story, and glad they're in town. Good to have them.
speaking of wonderful stories, we are crushing the segues, by the way. Can I just say?
So good.
I think we've mastered the art of the segue. Kendall was really excited about and told us about this Lifetime mini movie, A Recipe for Seduction. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up my experience watching it.
Spoiler alert. Are there going to be spoilers? Everybody knows the entire plot right now.
Right now, you know everything that happened.
But anyway, go ahead.
You don't know are some of the lines of dialogue. Let me just paint a bit of a picture for you. So neither of you watched it, right?
No, I watched it. You can go on Lifetime's website and watch it right now.
You did watch it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I had some friends that were asking how they could watch it. So I think on Lifetime's website, and then if you have like an Apple TV or Roku or something and have the Lifetime app, I think it's going to be streaming from there as well.
Yeah. You do not have to pay a thing to watch it.
Nor should you, right?
Nor should you. I'm just saying, if you're waiting to like have a pay something or whatever, you're doing it wrong. You go to Lifetime's website, they're giving it away.
One of the other podcasts in the Odd Pods Media Network, Super Media Brothers, they did like a little, what they call it, a stocking stuffer, a little bonus episode where they talked about it. And I think they said one of the food delivery services like had a special promotion. Like the reason this whole thing may have existed was just for that DoorDash or Grubhub, like use promo code whatever. And anyway, so
use promo code Crouton.
Exactly. So here it is, Sunday. We stream our church every Sunday morning, and I had it in the family calendar from the middle research from 12 to 12:15. Parentheses, Lifetime movie. Never before in my life have I thought, oh, I've got to get upstairs to the TV so I can watch this Lifetime movie.
Yeah. So
right there, they've already hooked me, right? Like this is exactly what they wanted. I'm totally playing into their hand. So I didn't want to take the living room TV away from the rest of the family because they were going to start watching Star Wars movies. the sequel trilogies. But I got to run upstairs to the other TV and watch a Lifetime movie and miss out on Star Wars with the family. So I sit down and I'm like, I think I'm going to want to take notes during this. So I grab a piece of paper and I'm like, I'm ready to go, like set up with my little piece of paper. I got a little snack. I'm sitting in bed about to watch this Lifetime movie. The movie before it had a line of dialogue where at the end, the handsome young man comes into the house to get the girl and you hear ding dong. And the one sister of the female lead in the thing goes up, speaking of Saved by the Bell. And I'm like, I wonder if they did that just because Mario Lopez is on this next movie. I wouldn't put it past them. So anyways, okay, it's time for the show. Screen cuts to black. And then the KFC logo comes up and I hear, this piping hot love affair of deep fried romantic goodness is provided by Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I'm like, this is going to be one of the best 15 minutes of television I've ever seen. Did you catch that part, Kendall, when you watched it?
My sister.
What?
Oh, sorry. I just did a Joe Biden. I confused my sister with my wife.
That's a
My wife
completely different Lifetime movie. What were you saying?
Nothing. No, she was on her way up to bed and she's wearing this corgi sweater that she's really proud of. And she was standing up to the door, distracting me with it, trying to tell me that we need to talk about her sweater.
Nice.
Anyway, which now we have.
We have. Tick that box.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you were asking me a question.
No, did you catch that opening like before the
Yes.
opening credits?
Yeah.
Wow. I was laughing out loud.
There are many moments that people need to watch it. I'm going to recommend it when all is said and done here. But all right,
best watch with some friends or family, just so you can just laugh. Anyway, I'm not going to do a whole play-by-play, right? But like some notable moments. The very first scene. So, this wealthy family, they're in a mansion, and the daughter needs to marry another rich guy, and they're having this elaborate dinner in a massive dining room with KFC on the table and white wine. When the suitor / boyfriend proposes to the daughter of this family. And that was just a comical scene. The contrast of the congealed thrift bucket, as Stephen and I would call it, with white wine in a beautifully elaborate dining room in a mansion. So she gets proposed to that night at dinner. She says she needs time to think about it. The mom is furious because she needs to marry this guy for money. Here I've said I'm not going to do a play-by-play, and now I am. Anyway, Next morning she comes down to the kitchen for breakfast when Mario Lopez comes in as Harlan Sanders and
wearing pants that you would never want to see Colonel Sanders wearing.
Right. And I kind of love that he didn't even try to do a Southern accent. He's just Mario Lopez.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's smitten with him right away. She's just ignored the proposal of her boyfriend the night before, and now she's already in love. Anyway, there's an exchange outside of the mansion between the rich jerk guy and Harlan, and he says, "Beat it, Crouton," to Harlan Williams. And then there's a moment where all the music kind of stops and you hear Mario Lopez say, "Don't call me Crouton." Some other
explain Crouton. Why Crouton? Are they just?
I don't know.
Nope.
It was
Nope.
You had to be there, Dylan.
They're just poolside.
You had to be there.
Just poolside having a verbal exchange, and he says, "Beat it, Crouton." Like this conversation is between me and the lady.
Yeah.
And then she leaves, and he says, "Don't call me Crouton." And it was, I laughed out loud.
Yeah, and just to be clear, like there's no bones about what this little mini movie thing is. Like people are taking it as a giant joke. It was created to be a giant joke. It's meant to be funny, stupid little lines like that. The writers knew that they were stupid little lines. That's why they wrote them. And there's all these moments of like the girlfriend like on the phone with her best friend explaining to him like yeah, and so but I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm in love with the new cook, and he doesn't have any money, but he's got this secret recipe that's going to change the world.
After having literally one conversation with him.
So it's just funny. Like he's Mario Lopez is the Colonel with the secret recipe that's going to change the world, and along the way he's going to try to get the girl, and it's like that's what it is. It's they turned Colonel Sanders into a superhero. And,
so the girl's mom, by the way, is evil, and she's in cahoots with the jerk guy.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Yeah,
they've been cahooting.
they have a past together,
right?
Something about a vineyard, and she said there are more weekends at the vineyard in your future if you make this happen. So
yeah.
Oh no.
The mom steals the daughter's phone. She so basically they're going to pay off Harlan $500,000 to just walk away. And
Andy tries to steal the secret recipe.
Yeah, which was just sitting pretty much just sitting out in the kitchen.
It was in a kitchen drawer on a piece of paper labeled secret recipe.
Chicken recipe. Anyway,
people watch this thing. People watch it. It's 15 minutes. Watch it. It's
so that was one of the other lines I wrote down. Secrets out, chicken man. Okay, so we won't spoil the entire thing. We'll let you watch it. Again, it's only 15 minutes. It's absolutely worth it. The scene where I busted out laughing the most was they stop the mom, and good things happen for the good guys and bad things happen for the bad guys. I'll just leave it at that. But then they cut to 1 year later, and you see a sign that says Serenity Falls, which is a mental institution. And the mom is just sitting on a bench, who in every other scene for the rest of this 15-minute mini movie was like dressed to the nines, like silk blouses, very fancy pearls woman. Her hair is all crazy out to the side, like the characters from when Jim Carrey is at the mental institution in Ace Ventura. And she's just sitting on a bench, like kind of rocking back and forth. When the guy who she was in cahoots with, who was trying to break up the wedding, comes and sits by her and he says, "I found them." And then he takes a big old bite of a drumstick and it ends.
So yes, they totally left it open for a sequel.
Oh man.
And it can't come soon enough, as far as I'm concerned.
This piping hot love affair of deep fried romantic goodness is provided by Kentucky Fried Chicken. Do you think that there are people out there that think that was serious?
Yes. I think there are some.
There has to be at least one person on the planet that thinks that was a legitimate Lifetime like short film.
And they're walking around going, "It was so bad, I didn't even get it. Like, what? Why do people want to like actually upset thinking that this was supposed to be intentionally good entertainment?"
Yeah. I mean, it is good entertainment, but I don't know. I don't know if I know of anybody on this flat earth that would actually believe something as crazy as that.
It was totally aware of what it was, I think.
Yes.
And what it wasn't. Anyway, it got us to watch. So
I just got flashbacks of like people trying to like explain Napoleon Dynamite, like when that first came out, just like so stupid. It's supposed to be funny. And I totally was transported back to like high school. So thank you for that.
Which you did not think was funny at all. So
no, I sat with a whole room of people and nobody laughed the entire time.
But it did get me thinking, as cheesy as it sounds and as rushed as the plot was, 15 minutes was still a perfect amount of time.
It was, yeah.
It made me think how many other movies that were 2 hours could have been done in 15 minutes.
I've had that exact same thought. And I actually kind of had the thought of like, is it possible that this backfires on Lifetime? Because in all fairness, I have not watched a Lifetime movie since I was like probably like 18 or 19 years old. But so maybe things have gotten better. But I can't help but like people like watching that and then saying what you and I are saying, which is this is every Lifetime movie that exists, I presume.
In 15
and
minutes.
They did it in 15 minutes. And it was more entertaining.
It has all the same plot
So-
points. It has all the same plot points as all of the other ones.
Yeah, and so that's where I could see it backfiring. Like, I wonder, it'd be interesting to see if like if Lifetime
They just
actually goes
cannibalize
backwards.
themselves.
Yeah, or maybe they'll only make mini movies now. That'll be
Yeah.
heavily sponsored by corporate sponsors, and all of them will be spawn cons.
Spawn
I just
con.
imagine some like bean counter at Lifetime trying to explain to the executives, like, we really, this was a terrible idea. And then one of the executives just grabs like a chicken wing and goes, I don't know what you mean. Just takes a bite because like now they've got all this sweet KFC money flowing from making this 15-minute mini film.
I like to think that the people at the board meetings of Lifetime make such poor decisions that they were actually paid in chicken.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Is that
how
what
could
you're
this-
saying?
How could this have gone wrong as he takes a
Okay.
bite of the chicken wing?
I've got mashed potatoes and gravy for the rest of my life.
My kids are eating mac and cheese for months. I'm really not sure how you could say that this wasn't an awesome idea.
And the movie immediately following was another Mario Lopez movie.
Did he just wear the same costume because the budget?
Probably.
That was great. Anyway,
Tight black pants, wide open white shirt, and a
Mhm.
neck collar.
Mhm.
so check it out. A Recipe for Seduction. Go onto the Lifetime app or their website and treat yourself.
I think it's on YouTube as well.
Ideally, Grubhub some fried chicken and kill one bird with one stone. Get it? Because the chicken.
Oh yeah, because it's a bird.
Yeah.
Bird puns. Bird
So
puns.
anyway, or would that would be two birds, one of them literal and one figurative. Anyways, what's up with you guys? I watched a Lifetime movie. That's all I got.
Not a whole lot. Been dragging the past couple days, to be honest. Like, it was didn't feel like waking up yesterday, and then today was the same thing. Like, I actually overslept by about a half hour today, and even still never really quite felt awake, and I haven't been speaking properly all day. So I don't know. I don't think I'm sick. I haven't heard of anything that's going around. So
Nothing in the news or anything that I'm
right.
aware of.
So yeah. So I don't think it's that. But so that's where I am.
Vocabulary recall isn't a side effect of COVID, is it?
Oh man, I really don't hope dinner plate.
Dylan, what's up with you?
So, a little bit of news for anyone who listens to our podcast regularly. In going through our analytics, we see new information about where people are listening and who's listening. And I just want to say welcome to our new listeners from Taiwan. It's very
Yeah.
exciting.
Hey.
We've been enjoying the made-in stickers. Now it's good that we get to give something back.
Yes, little bits of us in bite-sized audio chunks.
Made
And we're glad
Taiwan
we're just
Airlines.
glad to have them. And I just love seeing the new little flag circles pop up when there's a new country. And that's just, I get all giddy. And so that's where we are.
Here's a little inside scoop. Before we recorded, Dylan said, we'll talk about the new listeners next week because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. I'm guessing he sensed that we didn't have a lot of other stuff to talk about. He's like,
I
I'll throw in the Taiwan thing.
I have
No.
no idea what you're talking about.
No, he just really wants to get into the complaining about Taiwan. So
I have nothing. I knew generally where on a map it was. I will admit I had to look it up,
wow.
even as somebody who enjoys geography.
Ouch.
Yeah, I know, rough for them. I think in my head I want to put Hong Kong where Taiwan is on a map. If anyone's interested in geography, maybe that's interesting to them. But Taiwan's like further out from China.
Maybe.
I always think it's much closer to China, like the amount of water in between, but it's not. So, anyways, I have nothing interesting to add about Taiwan other than thank you for listening. And we appreciate you joining in alongside the other folks all across the world.
Indeed. Kendall, do you want to update us on your EDC situation? You sent us a picture the other day. And
yeah, sure.
Your new
So,
bag
yeah.
has arrived.
So I got the new backpack. Here she is. I'm going to try to like not be so like you have to go on YouTube to see this, but so there she is
Nice. I like the color.
in all of her glory.
It almost looks like a
baseball glove leather. But no, so it's been fun. Like I put together I actually sent my wife is the one who goes out and does the shopping. I stay home during COVID here, and it's just kind of the way that things work in our house. And so I was doing a FaceTime shopping experience with her one evening. So she was, it was like I had a remote control wife. Like I would tell her where to go and she would go. Tell her to pick up something and she'd pick it up. It was fun. It's good. I recommend it. It was great for the marriage. But no, so she found some pouches, a few little pouches. I made one into a little tool bag. And so like I got to go through what I think is the very exciting and fun process of thinking through the tool possibilities, trying to keep weight down and putting that together. And so I put a little toolkit together. I put a little med kit together. So, I mean, like I've got like 6 or 7 different strategic medications and Band-Aids and Neosporin and alcohol pads, that kind of thing, a tourniquet, some gauze. So I've got that in there. I've got another little pouch that has like all of the cables and chargers and power bank and everything in it. And then other odds and ends, but those are 3 little things that like I was able to put together and have some more kind of like subcategory fun in each of those worlds. So I'm a nerd, and maybe I'll have some bonus content and I'll splay it all out, put it all on the table, and do a backpack dump.
Splay your things out, knoll them. Have you heard of knolling?
No.
Knolling is that laying out items at 90-degree angles with equidistant spacing and taking photographs.
No, okay. I have done that before.
That's what a lot of the EDC Instagram stuff is. It's old KNOLL, knolling.
Cool.
Anyway, Adam Savage does it a lot.
Yeah, so I'll probably do that. That sounds like something I would do. It's certainly something that I watch. So there's a YouTube channel
to look at.
There's a YouTube channel that I follow that does just that. So
Adam, when he would, as he would travel and do shows and speaking engagements and stuff, he would like knoll all the things that are in his one bag that he carries with him on work trips, and even how he wraps all of his cables, and it's just so pleasing to look at.
Well, it's like that's a lot of that for a lot of people is very useful information. So, like for example, I'm just going to grab one thing out, like. Since weight is a consideration and universality is another consideration, it's like there's just little things that a lot of people might not know of. Like this particular pair of pliers by a company called Knipex is phenomenal. And I'm not going to go through, like, if I got into this, I'd have to get into some other things that I have in here as well. But like, this is a great little tool that is relatively new. And, I would certainly recommend it to people, and there are reasons for that and reasons why it goes well in a kit like this. Anyway,
I'm going to share screen. I'm going to share with since I just referenced it, right? Like it's always good if you have a visual aid. Sorry if you're not watching
Yeah.
on YouTube, but this is all Adam's stuff when he travels. This is what's in his one like backpack sized bag, knolled out on the hotel bed. Isn't that just pleasing?
it is pleasing, and it would make me like looking at it now. Like I like to like go through there and see like I wonder why he chose the things that he chose, and
see, Kendall, you would like geek out researching each of those items and why that pen and why that knife and why
exactly
that flashlight.
because that's the thing. There's a story, or not really a story, but there's a specific utility behind that pen. He's Adam Savage, and Adam Savage decided that pen is the one that should be in this kit, and there's a reason for it. And I want to know what it is.
Yep. Why those earbuds? Why that nail file? Anyway.
Yeah.
I want to know why he's got a really old pair of Bose headphones.
Well,
there are much, much newer ones.
Yeah, he's got like 7 pairs of headphones. I saw him build a rack that holds them all on the back of his office door. Huge geek.
I could do that. I could have like a whole rack with a bunch of different options.
Yeah, it's a rod that he hung behind his door, and he has them all hanging. And then depending on what situation, he just grabs that set.
He's also a hoarder.
Yeah, legit.
I don't think there's any denying the fact that Adam Savage is a hoarder.
Yeah, he says it.
Yeah.
Let's switch from geek to sports. Kendall, you had a good question in the shared note that we have about sort of end of year, sort of like postseason. Does it really feel the same? And then I thought that this might be a good opportunity to talk about the game that was supposed to happen this past Saturday.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's so for me, this is my experience, and I'm wondering if anyone else is sharing it. But like, so I was bummed when it started to look like football wasn't going to happen. And then sort of for a while there, our world was the Big Ten college isn't going to happen. But the NFL had already kind of gotten started, but there's still a giant question mark. Like, is it going to work out? And for me, that was a little depressing. And I remember having that thought that a lot of people had, which is like, man, football would really give me X. It would really give me a sense of normalcy during a rough time. It would give me something to look forward to since I have to stay home. Whatever, there's something good that football is going to provide me if it can happen. And then what I found out for me is like a lot of things, I think that we give it so much weight that like it doesn't follow through. And I'm not trying to do like the coy evangelism, but Jesus can. That's not what I'm doing here. That's true, but I'm being real about like my experience with football in particular, that like here we are and like we're heading toward the end of the season for NFL and playoff implications with every game and that kind of thing. Conferences are already wrapping up and in college, and I'm just like, well, nope, that kind of sucked too. So that's kind of where I am. It didn't deliver on the hope that I had.
Well, there's that, and then there's the thing that I keep asking Sherry this different ways, and I'm not sure she feels this way, or I'm asking it poorly. Don't you just kind of think that this is the year that every team is going to put an asterisk beside and be like, yeah, one kind of doesn't count?
I think that's part of it, that like it's like, yeah, it's the COVID year, so whatever. Man.
Some teams played literally half as much as other teams in terms of total games. Some people had their Heisman quarterback couldn't play X amount of games, who like literally has more points and yards in a game than the rest of the team combined. Like, I just feel like in many ways, this is the year that whether you won, whether you lost, whether you built, whether you flopped, they'll be like, yeah, that was the COVID year. So anyway, 2021.
I think that'll be true unless you win the national championship.
Even
and
that,
I think
I think other teams
for that
discount it.
I think for that team's fan base, it's going to be like, yeah, but we won the national title. And if you lose the national title or you fell below expectations, you're absolutely going to have an asterisk next to it.
I think that's the way it will go. And that's not me like dogging on people around here should it go that way, but that's me just saying, like, in any town where that occurs, you'll have the national championship town that's like, what are you talking about? It was a perfectly legitimate year. And then they'll get upset with you when you question them on it. And then everyone else is going to be like, yeah, it was COVID year, whatever. They're going to discount it. That's the way it will be. So I expect the general opinion, because right now we live in a town, Central Ohio, Ohio State, where the answer to that question is pending. So most other towns are not in that camp. We're in a unique situation in that, like, that's a pending thing for us. We haven't decided whether or not we're going to discount the year or not. We'll wait and see what happens.
And there's a handful of other cities too. If you're a fan or you play or you go to Clemson or you're Alabama or Notre Dame,
yeah,
or Texas A&M, you haven't decided yet whether you want to discount this year or not. And
because you're still in the conversation.
Because you're still in the conversation, right? So
right.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, in college football, Columbus is one of 6 or 7 towns that are pending. Everyone else has their mind made up.
Right.
Because guess what? You can take away Ohio State beating Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl. You can take that away in the record books, but I watched it. It happened. We beat them. End of game.
Yeah.
And so, like, we beat the SEC in a bowl game. I watched it. And so, yeah, it's pending. It's going to be a weird season for 98% of fan bases. And for a couple percent, they're going to enjoy it and bask in the national championship.
Yeah. And ain't that the way it goes every year? So,
yeah.
So maybe it's not all that different.
Maybe it's more normal than we thought. We'll keep talking about that. Let's take a quick break here from one of our friends. We'll be right back.
Hey there, we're BFYTW Podcast. I'm Pantsless Aaron, I'm the host, and we are 3 silly people playing very silly games for fakey points that don't count for anything. Our permanent team captains are a veteran and a podcaster, and a veteran podcaster, it's Stevie.
Hey guys, it's Midnight Smoke here. I love being funny, goofy, and I'm here for your entertainment.
And his permanent opponent, my oldest friend and a gamer and a storyteller, it's Jorge.
Hey guys, Jorge here, HH_Empire, and I am the logical voice to this maelstrom of chaos. Sometimes.
Well, if you like silly people playing silly games, then you want to come hang out with us at BFYTW Podcast every week. That's BFYTWpodcast.com.
So I told him, I said, deep down in places that you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. And so he lit me up on the wall. And that's how I kept Humpty Dumpty from jumping that day. Man. And then afterward, I was talking to all the king's men, and they're talking horses, and and they were telling me, like, we're glad that you were after last time. They said we're not sure that we would have been able to put him back together again. And so I probably saved his life that day.
You blew me away.
So, I mean, Dylan, if you were there, you would have done it too.
I don't.
So Corey, I'm not so sure, but Dylan, you would have done it.
I don't know that I would have had the courage.
Yeah, well,
we play it fast and loose with the word hero, but I think this is one instance where the term fits,
Yeah, it means a lot to me. It's not what I was trying to do, but the recognition I love omelets so much.
Back to sports. A game that has been played every season since World War I. The Ohio State Michigan game.
The
game was not played this past weekend. A lot of controversy around that game, and the Big Ten changing the rules to accommodate the Ohio State University Buckeyes.
Yeah,
Thoughts?
I'm okay with it.
Let's backtrack just a little bit because most people listening already know this, but in case they don't.
I love that you do this, by the way. You're always the voice of the newest listener and the people in Taiwan and Northern Ireland. I appreciate the context. So yes.
All right. So American football is a sport here in the States.
I wasn't going to go History Channel yet.
Oh, no, sorry.
I was just going to say, so obviously 2 of the 3 of us are Ohio State fans, the Ohio State University. One of us is a Michigan fan, but ultimately all in the Big Ten conference. The Big Ten isn't going to play football because of COVID. Then they realize how much money they're going to miss out on. And so they decide they're going to have a season.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how much money a university, not an NFL team, how much money a university will miss out on by not having a football season.
Right.
So they set up a season. They come up with some rules to try to make sure health is the number one priority. But we've already decided money is, because that's why we're having a season. And then.
And joy, Dylan, and joy.
We all think that that's going to make us feel normal, but Kendall already covered that it doesn't. So we still feel hollow inside.
Yeah, but that was in hindsight.
So they set a rule that you got to play at least 6 games. Well, look, Ohio State doesn't get a chance.
Where they came up with that number, it was hindsight.
They wanted to pick a number. Okay, so Ohio State doesn't get to play 6 games. Now you've got your cash cow who can't go into the Big Ten championship and potentially to the playoff. And everyone's going, well, that's not fair. They wouldn't do that for any other team. You're 100% right. They wouldn't do it for any other team other than maybe Michigan. If Michigan was undefeated, or maybe Penn State. And in the West Division, almost nobody cares about the West Division, but maybe Wisconsin. But they weren't going to get enough games anyways. So here we are. Let's just acknowledge the reality of what happened. There was a lot of bad decisions made, and a lot of decisions made based on money when they were trying to make it about the appearance of safety. Doesn't mean the Big Ten can't care about money and safety. They can, but it was made out to be almost exclusively about safety. And at the end of the day, when the cash cow might not get to go to the Big Ten championship and might not get to go to the college football playoff, you're going to find a way to make that happen, even if it makes you look like a hypocrite. I can be both frustrated with Big Ten leadership and still appreciate the fact that Ohio State's going to play in the Big Ten championship at the same time. People are acting like it's black or white. Well, they can't go. Indiana should have gone instead because they actually played 6 games, even though they lost to Ohio State.
According to the predetermined rules, there is a different team that was eligible.
Yeah. And to be fair, you change the rules in an already super weird season. It's not like they changed the rules in a totally normal season to try to help Ohio State. It's friggin' weird. Everyone was making everything up from the beginning anyways.
Right.
So yes, we all know what happened. We had a season because of money. We let Ohio State into the Big Ten championship because of money, and they want to let them try to get to the college football playoff.
As much as I agree with everything that you just said. But I do also want to step in a little bit and say that there was some interpretation on your part in there, right? Mm-hmm. Because obviously they're not coming out and saying we're going to change the rules because of money. Mm-hmm. Instead, they're saying, in fairness, like we just realized that it wasn't a great rule. And when we take a look at the year, it's obvious that Ohio State ought to be there. And so let's make it so that they can. And so that's what they would have you believe. And I think there's some truth to that. Now, here's the thing. Like, I've said this about the college football playoff, that if I were on that committee, I would not care one iota about conference championships. I would not care one iota about who, quote unquote, deserves to be there. It's their time. I would just flat out say which 4 teams just not even had the best seasons. I would just say, who do I think are the 4 best teams in the country right now? Yeah. That's the only question I would answer. And if Alabama has 3 losses, but I think they're better than Wisconsin, then and Wisconsin only lost 1 game or went undefeated, guess what? Alabama's going in ahead of Wisconsin because I think they're a better team. I think if they play each other, Alabama wins. And so therefore Alabama goes into the college football playoff. And that's how I decided. The question is, for me, who are the 4 best? And so if you're looking at the Big Ten Conference and saying, of this division, who's the best team that should be coming out of this division to play for the championship, my answer is like, well, it's obviously Ohio State. I don't care if they played 3 games. It's obviously Ohio State.
Right.
Put them in there.
That's
Yeah.
not the question that's being asked in those rooms right now.
Well, look, the college football playoff committee says that at the end of the day, what matters is which 4 teams look best. But what all the rankings really look like is kind of a hodgepodge of it's mostly accurate, kind of the polls, kind of looks like BCS era with certain conference teams getting ahead of maybe other.
Oh, Dylan's lagging out.
Based on talent, Ohio State deserved to be in the game. They changed the rules because it's a weird year and they needed to let them in the game. And that's what happened. Is it fair? No, probably not. But that's what happened. And Indiana played really well. And somebody else made the comment, look, if you're going to make rules, the sticking point is like not letting other teams try to schedule other games to get to 6, i.e. Nebraska. And making up rules and not budging for them, but budging for Ohio State later in the season, in which case, yeah, that's not fair either. They got stuff wrong because the reality is this is such a weird season. This isn't me giving Ohio State a pass because I've already acknowledged they got a pass when they shouldn't have. If they had decided to let Indiana in because we were DQ'd from the Big Ten championship, I would have been totally fine with it and I would have got it. I still think we're the better team and we should have been in the playoff, but I would have understood because they would have had enough games to meet the threshold and they would have been the highest ranked team out of the East that wasn't DQ'd. But it's just not how it went down because it's not how this works.
Yeah.
Ohio State still looks like the better team with 5 wins, whether they had 9 or 5, they're going to look like the better team.
Now, I also need to make it clear that obviously I wasn't rooting for it to happen.
Sure.
I was actually rooting for Ohio State to like be able for them to not change the rule. Ohio State able to schedule a 6th game with someone else and then lose it. That's what I wanted to see.
Well, because there was a rumor that Texas A&M and Ohio State were having conversations about potentially trying to schedule a 6th game.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think it only got as far as the Texas A&M AD saying, well, we were talking to the commissioner of the SEC to see what possibilities there might be. That's what should have happened. What should have happened was the Big Ten should have just let schools schedule whoever could make a game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that would have fixed a lot of these problems.
So let's go back, Dylan, in an effort to provide the context that you love and try to share with our listeners. So I don't know how to explain this rivalry if you're not familiar with college football or the Big Ten. This is like, it's called the game for a reason. And people sort of roll their eyes when you talk about it because they think they have a rivalry that's bigger and badder and longer. I would argue that. But anyway, so before this rule change was made, Ohio was coming into this rivalry game with 5 wins, and you need 6 games played to be in the conversation. And then Michigan calls the game because they've got too many players sick with COVID. Now, I want you guys' take on the likelihood, because there was a lot of joking and memes going around that Michigan went, oh, we got some guys with the sniffles, and we could ruin Ohio State's season by not letting them have a 6th game. Yeah, we just can't play.
Yeah, there's
I don't
simple-minded people everywhere.
I don't think they threw it because the extra context there as well. If it's a rivalry, wouldn't you still want to play and beat them? We were
Right.
Las Vegas said we were like 36-point favorites or something. It was like the highest point spread for projected for a game ever. So
Yeah.
it, in theory, shouldn't have been close at all. That adds a little more context. I don't think they threw it. I think you've just got a lot of college students acting like college students and spreading COVID on campuses.
I don't think there's a universe where it's the case that Michigan that it's
What
is throwing the game.
I want to live in the cartoon world, though, where people think that the Lifetime movies are supposed to be serious works of art, and where football teams are throwing games. Like what world are people living in that they think that these things?
Well,
are...
it's people get so blinded by the silliest of little things, and a silly little thing such as I hate Michigan. I cannot like Michigan. If it's possible for me to say bad thing about Michigan, I must. And
Well,
it's not any more complicated than that. There are people who are
Yeah.
that simple. And so just the very thought of, could Michigan have thrown this game? Would they be that dirty? And
yeah.
and their answer is always going to be yes to that question. 100% of the time, does not matter the circumstance.
And
So
you also
you
have
will
to
have that
acknowledge-
crowd.
You have to acknowledge a level of almost the troll like behavior there, because I will purposefully say things about the rivalry I don't believe just to add to it and add some
Sure.
flavor in a discussion, right?
I accept that. That's
So if
fine
I'm
and
sitting
acceptable.
around a room of Ohio State and Michigan fans, I'd probably even say, well, of course Michigan would try to throw the game.
Right.
Like, I don't
Right.
believe that, but I'm going to say it to add a little flavor to the discussion because
Yeah, because it's fun.
right?
Yeah, no, I
You're
I
talking
totally get
to the
that.
king of pot stirrers over there, of course.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's fine. I appreciate that. I can have fun with that. But
I can make
consider
I can
yourself.
make a joke. Yeah, and I can make a joke about like I'd never go to Michigan, but like Tim Allen sells me with the pure Michigan commercials. Like I'd
Sure.
totally go on a vacation there. I'm sure it's beautiful. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna pretend like I'd never be caught dead there because that's funny.
Exactly. I mean, here I am living in Central Ohio. I mean, I wear a mask when I go out, but here I am.
So every part of
So-
the world has that rivalry though. I mean, you were asking about, are we biased? Is the game the biggest rivalry in American sports? Yes. But if you think it's something else, I can understand why. It's the Yankees and the Red Sox. It's
Exactly. Yeah.
the Cowboys and the Eagles in the NFL. It's whatever other sports people think are important that aren't, that they have rivalries too. And
Yeah.
so it's just that. It's especially for soccer, there's going to be some of those huge international, for them football, for us soccer rivalries that feel massive. And it's it's that kind of game when we fill 106,000 seats every single time without question for that game, and there's 6,000 people outside tailgating because that's just the kind of game it is, right?
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's a beautiful, fun thing. For most people it's played up to be fun and crazy, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a fun collegiate sports rivalry. And I'm sad we didn't get the game. It really is not a normal season, especially if you don't get to play Michigan,
Certainly.
and for Kendall to play Ohio State. So it's a bummer. It was one more thing that made the season feel just weird.
Mhm.
I think we were hoping it would make us feel normal, but the season itself was so abnormal. There was no chance of that happening.
Good stuff. So since that game didn't happen this past weekend, I spent part of it watching a documentary, and this is going to kind of segue into our recommends for the week. Before we do, though, I just want to say I do love my children and play with them. I read books. I've taught them how to ride bicycles.
Yeah, but do you really?
My house gets cleaned. Projects get done. I sing songs. I make memories. I create art, and I consume a lot of entertainment. and those things are in no particular order, since Kendall likes to bust balls about Dylan and I binging on geek culture stuff.
Snowflake.
But I have to tell you guys, you guys know I'm a stand-up comedy fan and have been for a while now. And many of the podcasts that I listen to are hosted by stand-up comics. And for a couple months now, they've been talking about a documentary that's been done about the Comedy Store. If you're unfamiliar, the Comedy Store is a 47-year-old comedy club in LA that is owned by the Shore family, or was for the most of its time was owned by the Shore family. So that's Mitzi Shore was married to Sandy Shore, and Mitzi and Sandy are the parents of Pauly Shore from the 90s films Biodome and Son-in-Law and In the Army Now and a bunch of other good ones. So anybody who's been anybody in comedy in the last 47 years either got their start at or came through the Comedy Store. Like and the way that it was set up was like almost like a college for comedy. So when it first started, the acts were not paid. You just got time. It was like a gym where you got to work out your material. And from there, Mitzi made the case that you would be able to land jobs or TV or movie careers or whatever. And it was conveniently the way that she got out of having to pay folks. But this documentary is so well done by one of the comics who used to perform there. And I'm blanking on his name right now. Mike, doesn't matter. Anyway, 5-part.
Or Big Leo.
Yeah. 5-part documentary miniseries that premiered originally on Showtime, but you can go and grab for, I think, $8.99 from the Apple TV store. Cannot recommend it more. I mean, I don't even, Bill Murray, Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, Eddie Griffin, Brian Regan. I mean, the list goes on. Everybody, Sebastian Maniscalco, and all the different eras and years, and Richard Pryor. It just, the list goes on and on and on. Such a well done, from a historical context, from how it's shot, and the music, and the touching interviews by people who have gone through there, and comedian friends that they've lost. It's just a love letter to Mitzi Shore in many ways. I just think it's a really, really well done documentary series. And if you are at all a fan of stand-up, I highly, highly recommend it.
All right.
So go check it out.
Indeed. I need to start thinking about this more. Recommendations. I'm just gonna, so I tend to follow on YouTube some really dumb stuff, and I'm gonna throw one out that I love, and I've tried to get my wife on it, like while we're sitting in bed, like, watch this, it's funny. Called Cart Narcs.
Cart Narcs?
Cart Narcs. C-A-R-T Narcs.
Yeah.
And it's this one guy, well, a couple of guys, I guess. Like, one lives in Texas, another one lives, I don't know where he lives. California, I think. But anyway, they've made up this fake organization called the Cart Narcs. And what they do is they hang out in parking lots to narc out people who don't put their carts away in the cart corrals. and so they like, they're just like, they're videotaping with GoPros, and they speak like there's some official government agency. And even like they're just on foot walking around, and then when they see somebody like putting their cart up on a curb instead of taking it back to the cart corral, like he starts running over toward them, making siren noises, skip skip skilly doop 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 skippity doop doop doop. That's not where the cart goes. Goes up to the person.
It just films the reaction.
Just films a reaction, and it's like shaming them, but in a faux official manner. So I was saying, well, we are the Cart Narcs. We're here just to provide a service. We're a very highly trained government agency. We narc out people who don't put their carts back at the cart corrals. And the cart corral is right over there, sir. It's about 20 feet away over that way. If you could just go ahead and put your cart back there, you have a chance to redeem yourself. And
that is awesome.
And sometimes they just go ahead and do it because they're like, you're weird. And other times they like ignore them and get in their car. But if they get in their car and start to drive away, they have bumper magnets that that say, I don't put my cart away like a jerk. and they put the bumper magnet on their car if they try to drive away. And so and what that does to people is they stop and get out of their car because now they're mad, and that you did something to their property or whatever. And so sometimes it gets confrontational. Other times it's just flat out funny. The guys who do it are witty about it. And there's I don't know, there's a sense of like justice there that is akin to the, merge properly when you're driving.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to say. They've taken like a wholesome approach to the things that tick us off about society, and they've made it fun and entertaining.
It is absolutely hilarious. So Cart Narcs.
Cart Narcs. I'm going to check that out. And it reminds me of something our friends that host the Grief Burrito podcast talked about in episode 80 of their podcast. The title of that episode was Holes We've Fallen Into.
Yeah.
And it's like either gaming or movies or YouTube channels where you like not woke up, but like realized it was 2 a.m. and you were still watching Cart Narcs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And theirs was similar. It was like basically people who park like douchebags and they just like leave
Yeah.
notes on their car about like,
I love those things too.
like, yeah. So like, I'll have to find the link to that channel.
Yeah. So I love it. My
That's
wife
cool.
hates it. She thinks it's too confrontational, and she thinks the guys are being obnoxious and mean, which I don't think they are. I think they're just being funny. But then again, maybe we could settle this. My wife and I have a little bit of a debate. Dylan, you can put this on one of your Twitter polls. Don't look for it there because it's probably not worthy. Sometimes I like to do this stupid little thing that's fun. And like if we're driving through a neighborhood and somebody is like sitting at a stop sign, somebody is standing at a stop sign, and I'm going through that intersection. Just like as I'm pulling away from the intersection, so they don't have time to really like know what happened, I honk and wave and just see if they wave back as I'm driving away. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Either way, I'm pretty sure I just confused them or made them feel bad because they felt like they should know who I was, or I have no idea. That's part of the beauty is I don't know what I just did to them, but it could be funny. And I'll never know. The messed
up part about it is you were probably stopped there for a while.
Yeah.
And you don't honk until you're already driving away.
Until I'm leaving, honk, wave, go. And
so it was like if he knew me or recognized me, or if I was supposed to recognize them, he could have done that at the beginning.
So, I mean, I just do that sometimes. Or like if somebody is like running my direction on the sidewalk as I'm driving the opposite direction, like as we pass by, I'll honk and wave and just keep going. And my wife thinks I'm being mean when I do that. And I'm like, would anybody actually be offended by that? Would anybody like think that they were just bullied because that happened to them? If it were me, like I would not think that. I would be confused.
You're not bullying, but you're certainly like, if you're an overthinker or you don't like confusion, then yes, that's a slight annoyance.
My wife thinks I shouldn't do that. And she also doesn't like Cart Narcs, and those two things are connected. Anyway.
Tom Segura and Christina Pajitsky are comedians, and they're married, and they have a podcast called Your Mom's House. And one of the things they do is when they're driving by people on the road and through neighborhoods, they'll roll their windows down, and as they're passing someone at like 45 miles an hour, will just yell, "I just farted," and just film people's reactions. And it's super immature and also hilarious.
Yeah.
To see what people do.
Any recommendations, Dylan?
Oh man, I don't think I have any this week.
Mike Binder was, while Dylan's thinking, Mike Binder was the producer or director of the Comedy Store documentary series. Mike Binder.
Yeah, I saw you mentioned that and you posted it on social. I think I'm just gonna have to buy it, and I'll have to report back later.
So good. Well, do we want to do a quick recap of The Mandalorian in our segment called Mandaforian, 4 minutes or less on The Mandalorian?
I was wondering if we were going to do that, if I could take the 4 minutes and talk about my Star Wars. No? Okay. Well, I have theories. I have Star Wars theories. Just nobody wants to hear them.
I thought about that, and you know how much I love discussing Star Wars, but I almost feel like with how that episode, the second to last episode went, I really feel like they have to be discussed together. I feel like I don't want to chop it. I feel like I don't want to chop it up. I feel like we need to spend a few more than 4 minutes after the finale and discuss the season, but also the final 2 episodes.
You heard it here, folks. Next week, we're going to cover Mandalorian.
Just some Mandalorian. Just some
cover this past week's episode and the finale.
And I don't know, there was so much content announced at the Disney investor meeting in the last week between Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar and what's coming to Disney Plus. Maybe that'll have to be our first stab at some bonus content, because That's just a lot. There was so much. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Disney had their investor meeting where they start to announce things so investors can have a good idea of what projects, where money's going to be going. Basically, Disney is shifting everything towards Disney Plus outside of a few movies. And just Google it, Disney Investor Day Star Wars, or Disney Investor Day Marvel, Disney Investor Day Pixar, and you'll see the amount of shows that they have coming out. It's absurd.
And
It's,
movies, yeah, movies and
and,
shows.
and you're going to hear people say things like, well, this is just a cash grab. Well, it is a company.
Again, let's go over how this works. Yeah.
It is a company who wants to make money, but that doesn't mean making money and making good content are mutually exclusive. You can
when
do
those
both.
photos came out of the slides that they shared with their investors, right? And it's all the logos, the title logos of all the things coming out. And the comments on social media are just cash grab, cash grab. Geez, really? Cash grab. And I'm like, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. You know, you're only flipping burgers for the cash grab, not because your heart's in it. You know what I'm saying?
So I don't want to discuss that now because there's so much.
Yeah, I feel like we need to do some research too to like find out what some of these I don't even know what they're supposed to be about.
That's because there's so many shows, but we'll talk about it more.
Cool.
It's a whole thing that, again, maybe that's a little bonus thing we talk about on the side and share out. But
hey, how's your
lot to
tournament?
discuss.
Speaking of bonus content, maybe you need to share some at some point. How
yeah, I know you
going.
mentioned you asked about an update recently, and I just haven't played any of the tournament games recently, but I've not given up on it. Everyone will see. I was trying to sync it too with the end of the season. Like,
Sure.
I didn't want to be done like 2 games into the season. So I was holding off because I was getting close to the end, but the tournament still exists. You all will see the results of my PlayStation 3 NCAA football tournament with the preseason rankings. You will see the final results as I finish up the game. So it's been a lot of fun though. And I've, for anyone who's played the game a lot, when a game is close or it's a really good back and forth game, you get greatest games rankings from the game. So it'll say like, this is the number 1 greatest game of all time. I think I've already gotten like games 1 through 5 reset playing through this tournament. So there's definitely been some close ones. It's been a lot of fun.
Good stuff. Well, this has been a fun kind of all over the place, but we love the ride conversation. Thank you guys for joining us for episode 80. Definitely tune in next week for episode number 81. All of our episodes come out Wednesday morning. Be sure to check out Artius Man. That's ARTIUSMAN.com. Use promo code The Middle to get a discount on all your men's grooming products. Thanks for listening. Check out our YouTube channel. It's been updated and cleaned up. Anything else, guys? Stickers, 50% off. Grab some vinyl decal stickers.
Mm-hmm.
They're super
That's
cool.
almost half of what they used to cost.
Almost. And we appreciate you guys listening. Have an awesome day, and we will talk to you later.
Yeah.